I mean, this sand do be vibing though, just saying. Hello guys, this is Spyderrock and welcome back to another redstone tips and tricks or tutorial video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys 10 ways to make redstone clocks inside of Minecraft. Now in theory these should all work in both Bedrock and Java Edition, but there are some exceptions, so I will sort of get to those when I get to them. Anyway, before we start, I just want to point out there's a link to our Discord in the description. A bunch of people are on there. We'd like to hang out. Join it if you are not there. Alright, so I just want to say also before I really get into things that I am no redstone professional. These are all things that I've just sort of like figured out from tutorials and whatnot, and I've collected here over, you know, the past 6 or 7 years of me playing this game. Because, you know, I do a lot of farms and stuff like this sugarcane farm over here, and I've sort of need to learn a lot of these for them, but also most of these are here just because I think they're fun or funny. So yeah. Alright, so this is the one that I sort of like to call the classic redstone clock. Like when I think of a redstone clock, I think of this thing right here. I'm pretty sure it's what's in the redstone handbook. Anyway, this one is nice because it's silent and somewhat adjustable, and you don't have any like actual redstone dust in it. It's like, I think one of the only ones here, one of the only few that don't actually need redstone dust, which is pretty nice. So if you want something that's just easy to remember, simple, and doesn't take up too much space, this is always a good one. You can always adjust things to where you need them, and it's got basically 4 different outputs on different timings. I would like to point out though that basically how it works, you've got 2 going back and forth and then 2 going back and forth, so it's like boom, 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 boom. And though you never have 2 on at the same time, you do have them going back and forth like that. That can be a benefit or a downside for some people. Next up here, we've got, I don't know what this is called yet again, but I like to call this the simple modifiable redstone clock. This is essentially, it only has 2 output sources. However, if I want to, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. If I want to, I can replace you know, as many of these as I want to get as fine of a signal as I want to. I can change, you know, like that just on the fly sort of. You can even make this with redstone. This is sort of why I put the redstone all the way down here. It's because you can extend it pretty much as far as you would like. And then let me grab a redstone torch from right here, and then you can just place and break the torch, and you can customize it to your liking. You can also put redstone as a gap in between them, but this is just sort of like an easy way to do it. I think the standard is pretty much just 2 redstone, repeater, repeater, and then place and break a torch as quick as you can, and boom, you have a super fast, pretty small, pretty quiet redstone clock that allows you to change things as you need them to be changed. Also, my apologies if I ever call a clock a repeater. Redstone terminology, not really my thing. I get confused sometimes. Alright, so anyway, next up here we have the Trident Killer redstone clock. So this thing, essentially, I use this in Trident Killers. Anytime I make a Trident Killer or like a mob farm that needs a Trident Killer, I'll use this. It's pretty simple. You can sort of see right here, you have observers facing into pistons within a redstone. It's pretty much just observer, piston, redstone, and then you go ahead and put a lever on one of the pistons, and when you turn the lever off, then it turns on the machine, and when you turn the lever on, it turns off the machine. But you have to give it a second to turn off. That's the only thing. Anyway, this is great for a redstone Trident Killer, but unless you're making a Trident Killer, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. However, you can still mess around with it. You can still do some fun things with it. So if I go ahead and grab some pigmen, which are what I would typically use this for, my piglin or pigman zombie. I just realized how high I am. It's not going to be effective. Let me spawn them into here. I'm big brain. Anyway, I threw a handful of tridents in there so you can, you know, kill all your pigmen. If you have some hoppers at the bottom, you can use those to collect all the stuff. Now I put in like 6 tridents, so they're gonna die pretty quickly. But I think in my survival world, or one of my survival worlds, I only have like 2 tridents in there, so they die kind of slowly. Anyway, next up here, I don't know what this is. I've seen it in some tutorials as like a way to make part of a Trident Killer or something. I don't know. But it's actually pretty neat, and once I get into it, it's just kind of cool how the redstone like goes into this or something, and then you've got it on top of the, I don't really know. I just thought this one was neat and I wanted to include it on here. You can see it's pretty quick, and you've got just the regular 2 outputs, but you can use this if you're trying to power something above something else and you don't want to wire redstone all the way up there. You can sort of build this into your designs. Now most of these I'm providing to you here are things that you can add to whatever you're trying to make if you want to make it more efficient or smaller or whatever you're trying to do. So anyway, this one's just got the piston here, which I'm pretty sure this will not work on Java, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't mess around with redstone on Java, but I don't know if you can put redstone on top of pistons. I'm not sure, but if you can't, then you can just sort of put the piston off to the side and have the power going into the piston with like a repeater or something. But yeah, this it's pretty simple. Just goes up and down. Yep. All right, right here we have probably my favorite redstone clock to use. These are the ones that I will use anytime I'm like, oh yeah, I need a redstone clock. Assuming I have the materials, I'll just whip it together. This is the observer clock. You have 2 observers facing into each other. You can use a piston to toggle them if you wish, and they essentially will just power each of their sides on their own. You get 2 outputs. It's very fast. It's very quiet. Well, I mean, it's silent. I guess technically silent if you don't include the sound of the piston, because you don't really need this thing here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But yeah, technically silent aside from the piston, and it is so tiny. Aside from these 2 redstone I put here just as an example, it's 2 blocks, literally 2 blocks, and you can have this here if you want to, you know, turn it on or off, I guess, but it's 2 blocks. Like, you can, even if you want to, you can turn it on and off simply by just breaking it and then just placing it again. It's that easy. It's just 1, 2. It's a super easy clock, and I would totally recommend this if you need a clock for the sole purpose of having a clock, having something repeat itself if you don't need to time anything. It's great. Next up right here, we have, I don't know, this is a very, very standard redstone clock. This is the fundamentals of redstone clock, I guess. It's like this one, except you have 4 outputs. It's a little bit smaller than something with 4 outputs in that style, I guess, but it's the same mechanics. You can customize it a little bit by changing these guys around. You can make it, if you want to, you can go 1, 2. You can make it 2 repeaters long, I guess. Well, technically 8 now, but it's very easy, very simple. I think if you're getting into redstone clocks, this is one of the best and easiest ones to just go ahead and try making and messing around with, I think, for builds. However, I wouldn't really recommend it for that much because it's quick enough by default that you might just want to use this if you only need to go quick. And if you need 4 outputs, I'd recommend something like this, solely because this doesn't have the redstone bits in the corners. And I know that wouldn't make much of a difference to most people, but if I'm trying to build around this, I could accidentally link them up and do something like that. Whereas if I'm trying to build around this, I'm just sort of doing this, I would have a much harder time linking it up. You can see right there, it's gonna like not have any effect on it. Now it would be a problem if I ran it like around and into one of the blocks that the redstone torch was on. That would cause a problem, but even that can be fixed by just, you know, breaking a torch and then placing a torch. Pretty simple. All right, next up here, I don't know what this is called yet again, but I know that this is the one that I like to use for my 0-tick farms. I think just because it goes fast enough that you can use it for a 0-tick farm, it's sort of the right speed. Anyway, very easy to make. It's just a redstone torch, a repeater, and a redstone dust, 3 blocks, and a lever. One of the simplest and most compact redstone clocks, and it's great for making a 0-tick farm like this sugarcane farm I made here. I released a video on this pretty recently. It's worth watching if you want a 0-tick sugarcane farm that's pretty compact, and you know, I like this one. I personally use it in a lot of my worlds simply because I can just fit it into my base and not worry about having a whole huge thing. I can just throw it underground somewhere or something. Right here we have something that I made with a piston and observer. I don't know what it is. I was just sort of messing around and I figured out some weird glitch with sand. So I'm just gonna show you guys this so you can see it happen yourself. I break the bottom one and it breaks the sand. So if you need to just break a ton of sand, just make this little thing. It's just an observer, a piston, and some redstone. It will break the sand, I'm pretty sure all down to the last one. And it just sort of bounces. Like I don't know what it's doing, it's just kind of bouncing. I mean, this sand do be vibing though, just saying. But yeah, if you need to break a ton of sand, I mean, this is one way to do it. So you've just got the sand indie just bouncing there. I don't know why. You can't even break it. I mean, you can, but you have to like spam for a second. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny that was a thing that you could like actually do. But if you want to start it, one thing that's nice about this one is it started by placing a block. The block gets pushed out of the way and the loop starts. So you can sort of use it to, like, I don't know, shake your screener. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just sort of hanging out here, but yeah, it's pretty nice, pretty simple, and it's not particularly useful either. But what I'd recommend is, you know, if you want to have something where you place a block down and it starts a thing, you can just dig down to bedrock or wherever. I mean, I'm in creative, so I can go through bedrock, and I just place this here, and it just pushes it off, and then anything that lands on here, if I want to do something like this, yeah, like that, I can just place these here, and some of them will get turned into sand if there's already one on it, but they'll just be pushed down there. I don't know, kind of funny thing, just random. But this could probably be used for something useful. I don't know. I'm not good at making useful things. Anyway, next up here we have this abomination. I don't know what the point of this is, but it's kind of funny, so I'm just going to show you. I put the redstone in there, it gets launched out, it gets pulled back into there, and then pushed out. Now, make this if you want, like, I don't know, I guess I'd recommend it if you want, like, a way to visualize the timing, other than just having, you know, redstone repeaters there. If you want to see, like, oh, if that gets shot up and then it goes all the way down to there, and then it gets shot up and goes all the way down to there. So I think this would allow for a little bit different and more fine-tuned timing if you have something really specific you're trying to do that you can't exactly do in ticks. I don't know, it's kind of weird, it's kind of funny. I just thought this would be fun to make, and I wanted to include it in here because it just sort of launches out and then goes back down. Now what you could do if you wanted to is have this measure like how many items are there, and then depending on how many items it like drops a certain amount. You could do all kinds of stuff with it. If you really wanted to, you could have this be a thing where, like, eventually, you know, someone breaks a block and then it goes flying out the top, and then I don't know if this would actually go flying out the top, would it? Yeah, it goes flying out the top, and then someone can take it, or you can just drop something in there to start it, and then you can pick it up. I don't know, just kind of funny. All right, our last one here is very simple, but I think this is one of the ones that actual redstone people use all the time. I don't know exactly what it's called. I'm just gonna call it a hopper clock. But I've seen it used in tons of builds. Like, I watch Mumbo Jumbo all the time, and he uses this frequently, it seems like. Anyway, you just put a hopper facing into another hopper, put an item in them, and it goes back and forth. And then you use a comparator to detect that signal, a repeater to continue that signal from the comparator as far as you want. And then you have, of course, your redstone. You can be hooked up to whatever you want. Now, it's kind of slow, but for something of its size, I think it's really good that it's slow, if that makes sense. Because we've already got tons of really fast clocks that are pretty small, but this one in theory is literally 2 blocks wide, and then, you know, it's 2 blocks and then 3 blocks if you really want to count this part. But this is essentially the clock itself. This is just outputting the redstone signal. So yeah, if you want something that's slow but also is tiny, I guess I'd have to recommend this one. It's yet again, all of these I think are more based on timing than anything else. It's all down to what you need. So if you want something that's going to be super quick, maybe choose something like this guy here or this guy here. If you want something that's going to be nice and slow, maybe choose this guy. If you want something with tons of outputs, I'd say choose this guy, maybe this guy. If you want something for 0 ticking, maybe use this guy. If you want some stupid stuff, use these guys, or maybe this guy over here. Anyway, these are my thoughts on redstone clocks, and these are the ones that I would recommend. Thanks for watching me here. See you guys later, and bye.